to unleash your inner Goldilocks, how to get it just right. Thank you so much for joining us for another hour of a beautiful and uplifting conversation. As we head into the holiday season, all cultures across all parts of the world have something special to celebrate during the month of December. And all of these celebrations are centered around the most precious gift life has to offer, love. So how appropriate is it that today we are going to be talking about love? Yes, we are not only going to be talking about love, we're going to explore why do souls fall in love and how do souls stay in love? And the reason we're approaching it from the perspective of a soul is love comes from something deeper than our physical self. It comes from the very essence of who we are. And therefore, it doesn't see all the externalities. It is beyond our externalities because it speaks to something special inside of us. Whether you call it your soul, whether you call it your divine within, whether you call it something extremely special. That is what we're talking about today. And I couldn't be happier to have my two special guests who are actually friends, authors, my fellow co-authors, and we've taken a journey of life together for a while now. Sam and Sophie, welcome. Welcome to the episode.
Thank you,
for
Cass.
having us. Yeah.
So happy to be with you.
So happy to be here today. And as we get started, I want us to take a step back and think about, as a Goldilocks community, why are we talking about love? How does our theme of Goldilocks and getting it just right relate to love? Think about that. The very essence of who we are is ingrained in love. If we don't have self-love, if we don't love ourselves, and we don't have a loving, caring, compassionate relationship with ourselves, we can't have that relationship with another. So getting life just right so that we can live our purpose and we can truly make our life matter is truly rooted in our ability to love first ourselves and then those around us, and then finding those special people and making those connections. So it is not something outside of what Goldilocks is teaching us. She's us to go get it just right. So Sam and Sophie, as we get started, let us take a step back and have each of you, Sophie, since I'm going to let the lady go first, talk about what does souls in love mean to you and how did this journey come about for you?
Well, thank you for the question. This is a long story, making short. So falling in love with someone, as you so well said, starts from within. It's strange, and when we meet someone, it seems that when we see the person, it seems as if we already met somehow. Kind of déjà vu, we would say, déjà vu. And so we can feel, as you said, it's not only something physical. Sometimes it may even not start like a physical attraction. It can be some tenderness, or they want to connect, to talk together, to know more the person. So sometimes love can also start as a friendship. And in our case with Sam, this is how it started, by the way. We started as a friendship, and Sam would call it a kindred spirit.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
And so a soul's account, I feel, one of the characteristics is that there is no space for judgment. We may have all a different story, personal, professional, spiritual story as well. We may not have the same background, and nevertheless, when we connect from the soul level, we know that time, space is not so much existing, right? Or at least it does deepen the feelings of when we meet a human being, we meet also more than a body, more than some emotions, more than feelings. We need a past, a present, a future. And with Sam, this is what happened. I could feel in him much more than what I had in front of my eyes.
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. Sam, why don't you go and add to it and talk about it from your perspective? Because men and women do come at love differently, and it feels different.
Yeah, I would say the question as to why someone falls in love, there's a lot of analysis, there's a lot of theory, especially from modern psychology. But I would say largely it remains a mystery. Why we get connected to somebody and then not someone else among so many people we have met. And sometimes to me, so there's a connection there. One just know. Very often is the first encounter. It's different. It stirs up deep emotions that you are puzzled. You're puzzled. Where did the feeling come from with someone that you didn't know anything at all, but you have a sense. I knew somehow. I knew this person. You experienced some kind of connection that you cannot explain historically from your past, and then the feeling become the basis for your curiosity, for your whole being wanting to know more about this individual. As you said, we are soul as our primary identity, and the essence of soul is love. And so when you met somebody, you have an upswelling of that feeling, and that's a sign that your soul is activated. It's not based on a profile as we have online dating. It's not based on anything. You basically knew nothing about that person, but you feel she's the one or he's the one. I really need to be connected. I need to know about him. Now I need to know about her. And the feeling won't stop until you became really good friends and lovers.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. And it resonates for me. I mean, what is the chances that somebody from France and a Chinese American in California would actually meet, fall in love, and write poetry together? I mean, that is 1 in a trillion chances, right? I mean, all of those things happening. So to me, that is magical. To me, that is so uplifting. And it resonates because I am a Sri Lankan American married to a Pennsylvania Dutch American, and our paths would never have crossed. You met as friends. We were best friends on campus in grad school. And it just evolved, and we couldn't be without each other, right? So you get there, and that feeling is gradual. But as you say, when you meet, you know this soul. It's not so much the person, it's deeper than the person. I've met this soul before, and it feels comfortable. It feels right. So let's build on the feeling of the soul itself, because the physical aspect of the human being is not as deep as looking at it from the soul, and which is why I love the poetry that you wrote under in the title Souls in Love. What inspired you to do poetry together, to publish a book, and basically give a gift of that soul deep love to others, especially during this holiday season, to be able to give each other, couples can give each other as a gift. What a beautiful thing you have done as giving a gift from your love to help others find theirs and express theirs. Talk to us about what moved you to do this.
You want to start first?
Well, It was a really an interesting story. We met at Omega, and 1 year before we met, my son committed suicide. So I was still in the process of grieving and healing. And I started to, of course, one of my process is start to write things. And there's no poetry at that time. And when we met at Omega, there happened to be a Rumi poetry recital and singing. And we met already one time before then at lunch, but that evening, and I was looking, when I entered it, I already connected to her. She didn't know. So I went into I went into the meeting room, and I was looking for her. I want to be with her, enjoying this Rumi poetry recital together. And guess what? I look around, I saw her. There's just an empty seat next to her. Within the first few rows, there's not a single empty seat. So I just moved in there, and then it started from there. And then after that, we have a lot of exchanges on text, right? On text, not fancy love letters or something. We're just friends. And one day she saw some of my writing. She said, "Sam, you are a poet." Wow, when she said that, that's resonance and energy flowing inside me. And I say, okay, she saw me, then I must be a poet. That's the power of the announcement. And then that she became my muse. So she was my muse, inspiring me to write poetry. And then 1 year later, she noticed the content I was writing. She made the next announcement. You are a poet of the soul. Boom, it hit me really hard. And I say, okay, well, how come she just know me more than I do myself? And we have to write poetry together. And then she also had that strong feeling. And that's how we started meeting a Rumi, the greatest spiritual poet and writer. And there's no coincidence.
How beautiful is that? Go ahead, Sophie. You add your thoughts to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm still smiling when Sam is talking about his statements, because it was so obvious. We could not miss. His writing was so indeed poetic and profound, and even sometimes he could have discussions. And I remember one when we met again physically, and it was already a few years later, and we would discuss, still friends. And I felt, my gosh, every time this man is opening his mouth to have a deep conversation, it can be written. And so it was really obvious that Sam has a big calling for sharing some wisdom and some insight with us all. And so first, I could not imagine that one day I would write poetry with Sam. For my part, it came later, because I felt this is a poet. I knew I could write poems, but as a teenager, so I can write prose. I express. I have things to share with people, and but so one day, so it was last summertime, we started to play with words together, and it worked. It was beautiful, and I could start to feel the flow of words coming, and as a kind of poetry. And so it started, to really open a breach in the mind, in the spirit. And so the seed was planted. Oh, one day we will write poetry together. Well, it took us 2 months after that. We planned a trip in France, starting, from Paris, going to south of France. And for this occasion, I felt strongly, okay, we'll start to write poems for not for fun, but for trying to write together. And so I bought some notebooks and pencils, and we started our trip from my little city in Annecy. We took a train, and in the train we started to talk. Okay, what do we want to talk about? And it was obvious we wanted to talk about love, relationship, and not only, of course, the positive side, but if there would be challenges, we wanted also to talk about it from, as an exploration with no judgment, and in the sense of reflecting what it means to be in love, what it means to find how to make it last, and what it means when we have a challenge, what can we do for that? And this is how it started, in a train.
Wow, what a beautiful story. And also reminds us that if we are open to the universe and we're embracing what the universe serves up, things have a way of falling into place. And the fact that, Sophie, you had a soul that was open and inviting, and Sam had a soul that was open and inviting, you were able to receive each other and see each other. Too many times people are not there. Sam, you come from a business background, having been a CEO. You know that life. That life is a rat race. It has no bearing on the being. It is all about do. Where is the next stop? Where is the next stop? It's almost like being a conductor in the train to pick your story and build on that, but you're not a passenger enjoying the journey, right? So what allowed you to go from that business outcome results, that kind of a process, to truly opening up? Because how you got there from a journey of the soul perspective might help others get there too. I really think that you have, especially as people are struggling with COVID and post-COVID, how to straddle life and love and work, you might have a secret there that people can benefit from.
Well, I have always, been thinking about what's the meaning of life, the big question about life, even though I'm very busy as a CEO of a company. And when I did very well in one of the company, I became financially independent. And so I seize on that freedom and say, now I need to start to embark on my personal and spiritual growth, because I have more interest in that than running a business. So I took off on this journey. While on this journey, a few years into this journey, my son died. And then it gave me another turning point, and asking, now it's urgent. I need to know who I am, because my son is on the other side. And I believe that, the soul, we are eternal being. We really never die. We just dropped our body. And so so I was already on a journey. When he died, I need to say, okay, what I need to do with my life. And then when I met Sophie, and it became clear to me that I have done a lot of personal and spiritual work. How do I help the world with what I learned? How can I share with them? And I find, it's so clear. Poetry is a vehicle for delivering or sharing my spiritual experiences and insight. That's the best vehicle for me. And then I have a partner who can co-write with me on different things, not just about love. Well, we are starting on a book on healing, the story about healing. That will be our next book. And sometime next year, we can have the same interview again about this book. But it's healing, because we have a lot of experience about trauma and healing, all the way from our family history to to where we are today through our lifetime. And so it's amazing. It's a perfect partner that we have this collaborative opportunity to even to go deeper in our knowing and our love for each other. It cannot be more blessed to have a common vehicle to share and co-create so deeply.
And that is so brilliantly stated, Sam, because ultimately it's that co-creative journey is what a relationship is, right? You're co-creating life. So Sophie, I can see the energy between the two of you, right? I've known both of you through our shared writing journeys. You've both been in this program talking about your respective books and poetry and prose. But today is different. Today you're together. Your energy is different together. So Sophie, as you experience what the two of you are experiencing and co-creating, how does it feel for you? Because from a woman's perspective, every woman is looking for that soul deep connection. Not everybody finds it. Not everybody finds it. And those of us who do are blessed. Sam used the word blessed. I always use the word blessed. We are blessed. How does one get prepared to receive that blessing? And how does one recognize that blessing when it comes through? Because too many people are not free enough to recognize it.
Oh, wow, that's a deep question. Well, you already said something very meaningful earlier. So how to start it? The first thing, okay, you said it was lovely and so true. We need to find how we can love ourselves. The first thing, if we want to love someone, it's important that we love ourselves. It doesn't mean we need to love ourselves completely. Sometimes, there are probably challenges that we are still learning how to navigate our own way of being. But to be on the journey of loving ourselves, loving our people, finding a way to be in harmony with the world. Well, where attention goes, energy flows. We know it. We speak about it quite often in many ways. It can be coaching. It can be any kind of help or facilitation. So where attention goes, energy flows. When we are in a state of wanting to make life harmonious for us, for people around us, it doesn't mean it's always the case, right? But still, the energy is setting a level of intention that we want to meet people with a similar intention. And so I feel this is part of what I have a chance to realize step by step. I've not finished my journey of personal development, that's for sure. I'm not sure it will be ended, in this lifetime. Still, anyway, I realize that the way we set intention and the way we try to embody our intention will help to match with the people with the same level. We can speak energetically, frequency, vibration, or we can just say level of intention. So to me, that's part of what I encountered when I met Sam, was this intention, because, we can, we all know what is pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, sometimes for some people, physical pain for other people. So when we meet pain, whatever the pain comes from and whatever it transforms in us, then life can have another meaning. We don't have time to handle difficulties the same way. Probably sometimes the mind needs something to grasp, to evolve, that can be being in conflict. Sometimes some people, they feel good in conflict. When we go through pain, we don't want conflict. it's impossible to want to stay in conflict. We want to be in harmony. And yeah. Yeah, this is what I can say so far. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And so there is a certain sense of peace, right? Just listening to you talk, Sophie, and the way the two of you engage and the way you both communicate, there is a sense of peace, right? There is a sense of peace, there's a sense of calm, and there is a sense of everything is going to be okay. Not that everything is okay, things are going to come up, but together we can face it. And that is a beautiful feeling. If you were, both of you together, were to give 3 tips for people on how to build that peaceful, harmonious relationship so that life can be lived and the love can actually be rejoiceful, what would those 3 tips be?
Who's going to start first?
Oh, maybe you can give one, I can give one.
Okay.
We can, yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, I would say there's 3 things that kind of hold the love together. One is a deep commitment to each other. I know commitment is not very much talked about sometimes, but a deep commitment to each other give the foundation of trust, respect, and knowing exclusivity. That's one of the foundation. The other is keep the passion. Kept the flame blazing between the relationship. The third is reciprocity. I mean, it's like two people are putting on a fire and enjoying the fire, but each one has to put in the log. You know, I put in one, you put in one. That is really important. And so I would say all these 3 elements is the foundation for intimacy. To us, just us, not everybody. Intimacy is what love is about. Love binds and create this deep intimacy at all levels, and the result is the bliss and joy.
Fascinatingly put. Thank you so much, Sam. Go ahead, Sophie.
Yeah, yeah, the first thing I'd like to share is that when I see Sam every morning, this is still the same person and still the day starts fresh. So no day has to be the same than the other one. So to me is to keep the fresh look at him. And then I always have something to discover about him. I feel it may take, I don't know how long time it will take to me to know him. I know part of him, but I don't know all of him. So to me, that will be to keep the fresh look and to have discussions. I want to discover more about him. So that's the first thing, curiosity, engaging discussions to discover more about. I will never assume I know Sam 100%. Yeah, so that's the first, I would say, kind of principle. Now, saying this word principle, we know that they are principles universally known, and Sam mentioned some of them, like commitment, that is, of course, very important. We commit to love each other, we commit to understand each other. And you said it earlier, we have a different background, different culture, different language. So sometimes a funny thing, and we kept laughing at it last day, our accent, I can pronounce a word, he would hear something completely different. And it can lead to misunderstanding, right? It happens quite regularly together. Now we laugh at it because we realize there can be a gap between the emission and the reception. So I would say to make sure we understand each other. And when we have misunderstanding, it's okay to talk about it. sometimes I was not always able to talk about the misunderstanding, fear of, not being understood or not understand the other one. Right now, I just want to understand. So this principle of make sure, do not assume that the other one understands you or that you understand the other one. This is the one coming in this moment. And this third thing coming right now in the moment, because 6 tips is a lot, but it's not so much. So the third one coming now is when we meet someone, we meet also a family, we meet a past, and then we embrace the family, the past, or the person we meet and we want to commit with. We are aware that we need to respect, and we want to respect the place, the space that we are coming. For my part, I'm coming to Sam, so I want to respect his space, his place, his children, and by the reciprocity, I know he also wants to do the same for me. So embracing the life of the person that he or she had before we arrived in their life.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating how the masculine and feminine mind looks at this differently, but the essence of it is the same, right? So Sam, you talked about the importance of intimacy, and love is intimacy. And the deep commitment that includes trust and respect, all of that forms that foundation. And Sophie, you talked about that curiosity to continue to explore the person, and knowing that there is going to be misunderstanding. Oh God, do I know that, or do I know that? English is not my first language, but for my husband, but then he's American English. I learned British English, so we still get our lines crossed, right? So we too have learned to laugh about it, because that's where the joy is.
Yes.
And I am smiling because I truly have that lived experience of what you're talking about. And that is part of the joy. Imagine you could write a book about all the misunderstandings and how you enjoyed and laughed about it. And sometimes at that moment, it may not be funny. I have embarrassed my husband. He's turned bright red like a tomato, but I didn't understand why. Other people have had to pull me aside and tell me to stop embarrassing my husband because I didn't know I was doing it, right?
Indeed.
So these are things we learn, and there in itself is a story. There is a book there. But too many people don't understand that you can embrace that with joy and humor instead of anger and confrontation. So to me, that is what's resonating from what both of you are saying. When you have that trust and respect and that intimacy and the curiosity to learn and grow and evolve together, you can navigate everything that comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So add to that, because that is where most relationships fall apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say, I will adding the fourth dimension is exactly what you said. Modern man and woman in the most USA is most individualistic country. We grew up to say that, well, okay, I am me, I am unique. We have to respect the uniqueness of our partner and totally enjoy the similarity, but then embrace the differences and respect it and learn from it. And you said it. There's two dynamic individuals whose what forever is evolving and changing, and how can you keep the dance of both wanting to identify the unique individuality, at the same time you're merging part of your life, your life together. So the dance between independence and the interdependence is key for someone to be able, a couple, to be able to grow together and without growing apart, and enjoy that growth and expanding and become better versions of themselves. and when they become better version of themselves, their life together, what I call the inner garden, will be blossoming with all kind of a beautiful flavor of intimacy in so many different ways. It's just incredible, blissful and joyful.
This is such a deeply meaningful conversation, and I would love to open this up to our live audience at this point so that we can bring their thoughts, their ideas, and their questions into this conversation. So let's open this up, folks.
Hey, this is Marquise. I
Hey,
just want to say thank you. I'll have to go back and catch the beginning, but I love the point about never assuming that you are understood. I'm in a relationship that my partner, she speaks multiple languages, and English is not her first nor her primary. So sometimes we have a lot of cute laughter about some of the words that are coming across. But I love the tip to never assume she understands me. And with that in mind, I think that's going to help me maintain the curiosity and the freshness that's required for us to grow. So I just want to say thank you for that huge tip.
Thank you. Thank you, Marquise. Good to hear you. We can't see you yet, but I figure you're traveling.
I'm packed. I'm getting prepared to travel right now, literally. So thank you, Dr. Cass.
Thank you. Thank you, Marquise. Go ahead, Robin. Oh, Nandini, go ahead.
Hi. I have a question. Actually, it's not a question. It is a question. So I have been married 21 years right now. And I want to say that, in the beginning of my relationship with my husband, it was exactly what you said, self-aware and things like that. And that's why, sorry, the World Cup's going on. I apologize. But my question is, at about the natural progression of a relationship, and you mentioned this, keeping the curiosity of the other person, right? So somewhere between the 13 and the 17-year mark of a relationship is where people take their roles for granted. You don't check in, you assume a lot of roles, and you assume that your partner is happy with that, and they assume that you're happy with your role without realizing that your lives have changed, 10 years have passed or whatever. You're in different parts of your careers and stuff like that. So, and my husband and I had to work through it ourselves, and we're on the other side and we're still together, and we're so happy that we still are. But my question, I guess, is, do you have any tips for people to keep that curiosity? I know you said, Sophie, one of them was to wake up and try and find things that are new, but do you have any like conscious tips for people in that situation because sometimes it's really dark because they've forgotten to look at the joy when misunderstandings happen, how to bring it back? Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing it, and in this way. There are two things coming right now in the moment. The first thing is, actually, this is the second one. I will start with the second one. I was about to mention the power of rituals, and so that in the daily life. So we have a chance, because we are traveling from country to country. So the daily life is, you speak about 21 years, right? So meaning the daily life is here. So the habits, are very present. And so how to bring new things, if I keep with a new thing, that would be when we make a ritual. It could be, some people love to go to a restaurant together and find one topic to speak about. And listening to the other one, what is his or her point of view on a topic, even if it's a topic which is, you know, perhaps it can be a book, it can be something. So, but to keep the communication going, it can be part of a ritual, having one discussion at one topic. Sometimes I would say it's a little bit more sensual, but I think it's okay to be, because this is part of love. It can be to give a massage to our partner. So I feel in giving a massage, you know, it can be the back or it can be the feet. Why not? Sometimes it can be very strange to say it, but it's a sacred way also of loving someone, to give a massage. Perhaps the tensions can disappear, and in the touch, there is also a lot of consciousness we can bring, and the person, without any word, can feel the intention of love. And that is also something I feel it can be part of the rituals that we sometimes forget because life is going on and we have other things to do. Well, these little things can also bring a sacredness into the daily life. Lighting on a candle on a table, and in the candle, having the intention, conscious intention, tonight for the dinner, I bring curiosity. I'm really a firm believer in the power of intention. So these little things that we bring a certain meaning, a certain sense into small rituals can help to maintain a sustainable level of intimacy. Yeah. What do you have to say?
Yeah, for me, I think a problem, a recurring problem in relationship is that at a certain point of time, because of hurt that happened in communication and misunderstanding, or something which was not clear, that we started to form an image of a partner and fixed on it, and saying that, okay, my partner is this, my partner is that, and my partner is this. And when we have a fixed image of a partner, we see things through that lens. And that's where we think, okay, I know enough about my partner, and I don't need to be curious anymore. And those are the things I see them, and that's where we stop curiosity. It is when we have fixation. And in fact, because of that, if that lenses is somewhat negative, we actually hold our partner in that state of negativity. Even they want to change, they cannot change, because they know you're perceiving him or her in that manner. And so you start very soon, you have a pattern of interaction, which is based on this bouncing of negative lenses, and sometimes it will spiral down. Not only that, you will not be able to have new curiosity about, what are the new things about your partner, his or her changes. You actually can spiral down. And that's where relationship is that get rid of the lenses, start it fresh, and as if, you met this person the first time, and allow your partner to grow, to be different. So, and that the changes, the dynamic changes, is a dance with how you can grow together and become newer, better versions of yourself, is the essence of a couple. They're staying together, have that freshness and continued stimulations and continued growth and expansion.
I love the question, Nandini, and I love where Sophie and Sam, you guys took your guidance, your tips, your advice. Mike and I have been married 25 years. The last 4 of those years have been dealing with cancer, and my husband is entering his early stages of dementia and Alzheimer's. So we are in a stage where we're truly rediscovering each other and learning to laugh about it. One day he came out of the shower and he forgot how to put his shorts on, so he had both his legs inside one. And then he couldn't walk, so he's jumping up and down, and we started laughing about how he's the first merman I ever met because he had a fishtail, right? So we have to laugh about it. We have to be able to do things. And one of the things we are doing is going back and revisiting our rituals in terms of how do we make our daily rituals help him ground and anchor and bring back some of those memories and prevent the forgetting, right?
Yes.
And so that includes every morning he takes a walk around the garden and picks flowers, one for me and one for the altar. And then we pray and we meditate and we start our day. We go swimming twice a week. And so we are creating new habits.
Yes.
And we've always loved to cook together. The way you both love to do poetry, my husband and I have always been creative in the kitchen. And so we continue to cook together. And they say, if you can cook together and you can take a drive together, that relationship will last, right? So we continue to cook together and we create our own recipes because that's our creativity, that's our fun.
Yes.
And so it's finding those things have kept us alive. Doesn't mean that we haven't had our challenges. We haven't had those down moments. But those down moments are offset by all these sparks, right? And that's a part of aging and rediscovering each other as we age. And I always tell them, very soon it's going to be like a first date with me every day. What fun. We're going to date each other on a first date every day, and that's going to be okay.
Yes. Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful.
And it's moving. Yeah. Well, one other thing we love to do, we always create an album every trip we make. We like to take beautiful photos. We have beautiful photos. We'll never be able to forget, our trip. Remember all those beautiful moments together, and we look at those albums all the time.
How lovely is that? And creating those special moments and celebrating those special moments and sharing it with others.
Yes.
That is what life is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned something very important about the sharing with others to expand the circle also. So of course there is the couple, the relationship, the intimacy, and also to share with others and to discover others as well. So this is also a beautiful way to maintain this flame of life, which is not only about us, right? It's about everybody also around. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Robin.
I know we're wrapping up here, so I'll be quick. One element is talked about is companionate love, which is the love that develops over time, which is different than like the falling in love, puppy love as they might be called. And a question of how people can be patient during that transition into companionate love, as opposed to saying, oh, I don't have the puppy love anymore, I need to end this and go find somebody else, as opposed to staying in there, hanging in there for the companionate love and creating the companionate love. And also, what role does commitment sometimes is just surely being committed. I'm committed, and even though it's hard, I'm hanging in there, and how that plays into the development of companionate love. Have you experienced that?
I think the key thing to keeping this companion love is intimacy, and the intimacy is cultivated by deep sharing and vulnerability on an ongoing basis without gap. So if you develop a habit of, every day you spend a lot of time just talking about all kinds of things, in your family, personal, to the environment. We talk about politics. We can talk about any topics. So the deep sharing, but not just about things or events. This sharing of how you feel deep inside you. That is where the key of intimacy, this emotional intimacy, is the basis for companionship as move on to the later phase. But I think the physical intimacy, there's no need to give it up. Because that is still, a big field. So just thinking about, are you connected? Are you intimate on a physical level? Are you intimate on emotional level? Are you still as vulnerable as you met? You're okay to expose your vulnerable feeling, to have deep sharing? Are you able to share your thoughts, intellectual, your understanding of the environment? Are you connected to the soul? But the question is, do you still have joy and bliss in your relationship? If they start to fade away, then you have to re-examine, recruit their intimacy, because that's the juice of a relationship for us. I know, people times ago, they are together for very practical relationship. In China, they get together because they want to have children. There are many other reasons why people get together as a couple, but I think hold a couple together in joy and bliss is intimacy at all levels.
Great, thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you so much for all those amazing questions. And I'm so glad and honored, Sophie and Sam, you took an hour to talk to us about Souls in Love, what this journey looks like. And I encourage everybody to go get their book, read it, give it as a gift for those in your lives, those you want to help find the healing and the love. How can people find you and get a hold of your book, Sophie and Sam?
Well, yeah, so the book is available on Amazon. So then people who can connect on the website of Amazon or the country can find it through the title Souls in Love. And also we can engage a conversation, via social media with people. We love to engage conversations and to keep the conversation going about these topics about love and intimacy and commitment. And so Sam has a social media page, Sam Yo Poetry, on Facebook, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a page named Travel Me Like Poetry, so on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So we will be very happy to continue the conversation. And if I allow me to add one thing to that, Robin, you mentioned on the long term, there is also something. We know that in this modern world, there are divorces, and this is part of life. Sometimes we would really love, of course, to stand together for the long term. So there is no magical recipe probably that we can share with everybody. There can be principles, they can be sharing about rituals and keep the curiosity. And then this is a dance of life, and so many people had to go through a divorce, and we should not feel ashamed of it when it does happen. We can still keep the heart open, that love can still be for us too. And of course, we want to make it last as long as possible. And I have a lot of admiration for everything you also shared, Cassidy. And I feel it's beautiful. You speak about love so nicely. Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. I also want to say that the soft cover copy and the hard cover copy will be available in a few weeks, and then in a month or two we will also have Audible.
Beautiful,
Audible.
beautiful.
All the
So
versions.
we look forward to supporting you, celebrating you, learning from you, and everybody has the ability to connect with you on LinkedIn and Facebook based on my announcements. So I will continue to share. And please come back when you write your next book. And please come back whenever you want to be a part of this community, because you are a part of the Goldilocks community. And I look forward to having you guys and continuing this conversation, and wish you all the best. And for all our audience out there, this is the holiday season. And every day is a day for us to fall in love with ourselves, find love around us, and embrace our life as a soul who's capable of being in love. And when you become a soul capable of love, love will find you.